Hey guys, my name is Alisha and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be telling you my June TBR, so these are all of the books that I'm hoping to read in June. I have been so bad at actually sticking to my TBR. I feel like for the last few months I've just been going completely off, and I am more of a mood reader, so that's not totally crazy for me, but I am trying to actually stick to my TBR this month, but we will see how that goes. Let's get into the books now. So the first book I'm trying to read is When He Was Wicked by Julia Quinn. So this is one of the books in the Bridgerton series. I think it's like the 6th, maybe 7th book. It is basically following Francesca, who is one of the Bridgerton siblings. And this one, I have read 2 previous books in this series, and this one I decided to skip to because I feel like the story was more interesting. But basically, Francesca was previously married to this man named John, but John ends up having an untimely death, and so she starts this sort of romance with John's cousin, who has actually been in love with Francesca for a very long time. And yeah, this is a historical romance. It is a very popular series, so I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it, but I am excited to read this because I do really like the Bridgerton series, and the books that I have read so far have been very fun and good books, so I am excited about this one. So the next book I want to read is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, and this is a very popular, I think it's like a psychological thriller book, and I have watched the movie many years ago. I think it came out in like 2014, but I've only watched it the one time all those years ago, so I don't really remember what happened, which I'm hoping I don't remember while reading because I want to be surprised with the twist and everything. But this is basically about a married couple, and the woman, the wife, ends up disappearing, and the prime suspect is her husband. And so I think we're following both characters as there might be like flashbacks of their actual marriage, as well as what's actually happening in present day with the investigation and things like that. All I remember from the movie is that it was very surprising and a lot of like plot twists, and the main character, Amy Dunn, the wife who disappears, is a total badass. So I'm really looking forward to this book, and I'm hoping the book lives up to how much I loved the movie. The next book I want to read is While Justice Sleeps by Stacey Abrams, and I believe Stacey Abrams is a state representative of Georgia. I am Canadian, so I don't really know much about American politics, but she is a quite important political figure, and this is I don't know if it's the first book she's ever written, but it is a thriller book that she wrote, and I have heard a lot of great things about this. I don't know much about it, but I know that our main character is a law clerk who ends up becoming a legal guardian of this judge who is in a coma, and she is left to solve some mystery about, I think, what happened to the judge, as well as there is stuff that is going on in the legal sphere of this world. So yeah, I don't really know much about it, but I have heard a lot of good things, and I'm very excited to get to this book. The next book is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This is a classic book, and I have been wanting to read more classics, and I feel like Rebecca is a good place to start. It is a very popular book, and I feel like most people do like this book, and it's more of like a modern classic, so I do think I will like it. But this is basically following our main character, Rebecca, who finds herself enamored with this widower who basically suddenly proposes to her and then takes her to his mansion, where she finds out that the kind of ghost of his dead wife is still very much present, metaphorically and maybe literally. I don't actually know if this is like a ghost story, but I do think it has like sort of a gothic feel, and yeah, I'm really excited to read this, and I'm hoping to actually watch the movie. I think there was like the newer adaptation that came out a few years ago, but I do want to watch that as well. So next I have Temper by Lane Fargo. So this is the same author who wrote They Never Learn, which was one of my favorite thrillers from last year, and I am very excited. I wanted to like read more of her backlist, so this was one of the books that she is very well known for, and I do think a lot of people like it. All I really know about this is kind of the tagline, which says it's a book about female ambition and what happens when fake violence meets real blood. So this sounds really cool. I also think it has like some Shakespearean elements to it, and it is also LGBTQ, and obviously June is Pride Month, so I did want to incorporate more LGBT LGBTQ books into my TBR. So now I have a few more books that are specifically for Pride Month, and the first is Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandra Belfleur. So this is the third book in the Written in the Stars series. I have read both the first book and the second book, and I really loved both of these books. They are romance books, and this book is following two women who, I believe it's a childhood friends to lovers trope, which I'm not a huge fan of, but again, I love this series, so I think I will still like this book. Then next I have Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. This is the same author as The House in the Cerulean Sea, which I actually read earlier this year and I absolutely loved. But basically this book is, what I know about it is that it's about a man who has just died and he is kind of in the afterlife, but he needs to like cross over, I guess, into the afterlife. And so while he's in this sort of waiting place, he meets this man who decides he's going to help our main character cross over. And we sort of are seeing him deal with the fact that he's died and his life, and there's also a bit of romance, and I just really love the concept of this book. I have heard that people don't love it as much as The House in the Cerulean Sea, but I'm still very excited about this book. It's also giving me like the Good Place vibes and sort of like the Midnight Library, where, you know, the character is kind of going through her life after she has died. So yeah, I'm hoping this will have some really great elements, and I'm hoping I really do love this book. Then next I have a book that I'm actually very excited about. I had heard about it from the Goodreads Choice Awards of the best sci-fi books from last year, and since then I've really wanted to read it, and I thought it'd be a great month to read it because this is Light from Uncommon Stars by Raika Aoki, and this book has a queer relationship and a transgender character, so again I thought it'd be perfect for Pride Month. And I don't really know much about this book, to be honest. The sort of synopsis is a bit confusing, but I do know that it is a sci-fi book, takes place in space, and it just sounds really cool. Basically, the sort of tagline is an adventure set in California's San Gabriel Valley with cursed violins, Faustian bargains, and queer alien courtship over fresh-made donuts. So that just sounds really fun and cool, and I'm hoping I really love this book. Next I have Notes on an Execution by Danya Kukavka, I believe. And this is a book I've been recently hearing a lot about, and I'm very excited about reading this. This is basically following a serial killer who is on death row, and I think we're following the serial killer, but also some of the women in his life who obviously his actions have affected. And I've heard like so many great things about the writing of the story and about sort of the themes and messages of the book. And yeah, I just think it's a really interesting take on this sort of serial killer idea. I feel like in general, in media and stuff, we always see stories of these like serial killers and why they did what they did and how they came to be that way, but we don't really see a lot about the effects on the people in their lives, you know, their actions have had, and especially looking at the women in the serial killer's life is, I think, really important. And yeah, just I think this book is going to be really interesting, so really excited to be reading this, and I hope I love it. And then lastly on my TBR, I have Merging the Drift by Tom Bray. So this is a book that I found out about because of the author himself. He actually reached out to me and sent me this book, and I'm very excited to read this. It sounds really interesting and has a lot of elements that I think I will really enjoy. Basically, this is following a boy named Ali who is waking up on his 18th birthday, and so the memories and the life that he sort of been living, he finds out are fake, and the like all these memories he's had are fake. And so he finds out he's actually an occupant of this thing called the Drift, which is this sort of place where deceased children end up living. And so Ali, the main character, ends up finding out that he is dead actually, and he is now his adult self in this Drift world, I guess. And he finds out that he actually has this ability to now view, or I guess live in, this parallel version of the life that he had been living. So this whole concept sounds really interesting, and based on my talks with this author, there are a lot of different themes about family and friends and death, and just overall sounds really interesting, and I'm really intrigued to read this book. It's kind of reminding me of a book I've read earlier this year called Girl One, and just in the sense of like this sci-fi element, and about apparently this book is like obviously sci-fi, but it also has mystery elements and like psychological elements. So yeah, Girl One was also this kind of like mix of genres, so I feel like this could be similar. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this book, and I'm so thankful for the author to have sent this book to me, and yeah, really excited to see what it is. So those are all the books that I'm hoping to read this month. Again, I'm hoping to stick to this TBR, but we will see what happens. I also have had no luck in my books that I've been picking up recently. I feel like I haven't read any like truly amazing book in a while, so I'm hoping one of these will be like a new favorite, or many of them, if they're all, you know, new favorites, even better. Thanks guys for watching this video, and I will see you next time.